Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Vijaya Pandit, good to see you in Italy. It's early in the morning there for you. Is it 5 hours? It's 4 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay. So, and I wanted to note that Vijaya Pandit Prabhu is a constant attendee at the classes, irrespective of his time differences. And we want to appreciate that very much. And I also wanted to note, Prabhu, that I see quite a few donations coming in for the republication, reprinting of Prabhupada's Delhi Bhagavatams from Italy. Quite a few. We had some Prabhu who just gave $435 US. I believe it was yesterday. My phone went off here. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, Bhakta Ricardo E. Sandra gave $435. Sandy Bonamigo gave $70. Angelo V gave $8. And Bhakta Armando Bertolino from Italy gave $31. Bhakta Mirko Poletti from Italy gave $21. Purnananda Das gave from Italy $21. Bhaktin Donatella gave $21 6 days ago. Bhakta Zoran Kostik from Italy gave $108. Excellent. That gets it. And Anna from Italy gave Klobish. Anna from Italy, Klobish, gave $72. Dritaman Das from Italy gave $51. And on it goes. Fernando Tihad Das Redis gave $20. So very, very generous participation. You know, we probably have to send you one shipment, if we'll discuss it with you, one shipment to you, and then you can distribute the Bhagavatams to the individuals just to minimize the cost of shipping.
Yes.
And I wanted to mention that anyone who gives a donation, irrespective of the amount, because not everyone has extra Lakshmi all the time. For example, our wonderful godbrother Naveen Krishna Prabhu in Florida gave 6,000 US. Perfect. Very nice. And also dear Govinda from Florida, and Krishna Bhakta, originally from Ireland, who's living in Alachua. He has a property next to the ISKCON temple. Right next to it. He wants to build another temple next to it, which is a Prabhupada temple. Totally Prabhupada focused. where Prabhupada is living with all of his disciples in his Vani incarnation, because he has seen the truth. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. This is a key verse in the Bhagavad-gītā because it specifically explains how you become self-realized. And in the Gita, it says, approach a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service. The self-realized master can impart knowledge unto you based on that service because he has seen the truth. He, very important word, much different than the word they. Because when you use the word they, you've changed the meaning of the verse, where you're saying instead of he, because he is very important, because this means that that person is a Krishna conscious person, guaranteed. He's seen the truth. What does see mean? Well, in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he's seen Krishna. It's when you listen to the lectures of Prabhupada, you get a real understanding of, if you listen carefully, to the depth of his knowledge. It's not just that he's memorized verses. It is part of his existence, from his upbringing to his surrender, to his mission, to his commitment to the service of his spiritual master, that he is speaking as the transparent via media of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is something that is constantly being presented by him to us in his lectures and books, without mentioning that he is the bona fide spiritual master. It's very interesting, Krishna Katha, how Prabhupada presents it in such a way that he doesn't present himself as the bona fide guru, when it's self-evident that he is to all of us. This is something that even in my early years as a devotee, I realized that Prabhupada was so humble. I was just looking at a picture of Prabhupada online, and you could see, despite his celebrity status, he became so popular in a small group of people. Of course, people got infatuated with that. Look at how big our movement is. Well, in the grand scope of things, it is small. There's billions of people on the planet. How many people are devotees? Not very many. And the pure devotee, such a great soul, is very rare. So our presentation of this philosophy is essential for new people to hear, because this is the secret that he talks about when he says Krishna consciousness is a mystery. A mystery. Prabhupada was mentioning that. These mysteries of the Bhagavad-gītā are revealed by Krishna to Arjuna. And the mysteries of the Bhagavad-gītā are revealed to the disciple from the pure devotee spiritual master. So the more we become fixed on this understanding and help others understand it, tattvavit. This is the principle of spiritual life that somehow or other people have distorted for personal reasons. Sad, but true. Prabhupada is mentioning in a lecture that I listened to yesterday that because I am presenting the philosophy as it is, according to the teachings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, then there is a miracle. That is the miracle of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. This miracle is we're simply presenting what Prabhupada taught us and stay in a humble position. Do not think, oh, now I've learned a few verses from the Gita. I've studied some of the scriptures. I've published books or translated books. Now I'm a big devotee. Big devotee, Prabhupada would tell us, means humble servant. And the more we as a group stay humble and focused on the mission to protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada, the more advancement we'll make. And I want to thank everyone who is donating to this program. We're going to carry on with the GoFundMe program. Yes. Why? Because it's interesting to note, Vijaya Pandit, that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, our esteemed preacher in this group, in this society of devotees, started the Hare Krishna Society in 2002. 2002. And it's 2024. How much money did he collect Krishna Katha from 2002 to 2024 for his charitable organization? I'll give you the answer. Exactly. Zero. What was his motive? His motive was simply to present the correct philosophy that Prabhupada is the bona fide Acharya in our disciplic succession without adulteration, Bhaktajad, without personal motivation in France. No. And it's self-evident that he never went after money. He was only after the truth. For 22 years. It was only by Krishna's grace that this evolved, this GoFundMe program for the reprinting of the Srimad Bhagavatams. And if you look at it from a objective point of view, somehow or other, Krishna has given all of us this opportunity to expand the Krishna Consciousness movement in the Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association, by donating for the printing of these books and then the distribution. So this program, we're carrying it on. And by the way, I wanted to announce today that we have reached $25,250 in our fundraising drive, which is surpassing what our original target was. And we're going to keep going with this program. Why? Because land, labor, capital, that's how you become successful in any kind of endeavor. And by us getting these generous donations from others, we as a group, will continue to print and publish more books moving forward. We're still in the process of finishing up this first segment, so we'll go step by step forward. And we can always engage Lakshmi in the service of Krishna, and this will help us to proliferate the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya according to the proper philosophy that Srila Prabhupada taught us in the Bhagavad-gītā, where he describes specifically that if you want to become Krishna conscious, you have to approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service to him, and in this way, this transcendental knowledge can be imparted unto the sincere person because he has seen the truth. He. And who are we referring to when we say he, Krishna Bhakta? We are Krishna Kata, I should say. Who are we referring to? We're referring
His Divine
to
Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda.
who is
God.
present, everyone. And
In his
Yaśodā-nandana,
mind.
yeah. And Prabhupada does explain this. If you're serious about spiritual life, you have to study every word. Don't change one word, and study these words over and over and over and over again, scientifically. And in this way, with the combination of activity that we're creating in our group, we'll see ourselves elevate like a rocket ship up into the atmosphere, and we'll all go back to home, back to Godhead, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Haribo. So we're going to move forward with the diaries. We've got a little bit of section here to read, and gives us real insight into the early days of Srila Prabhupada's work, which is very valuable for us to know, because then you get an idea to connect the dots. Seems like Prabhupada is being minimized, forgotten for whatever reason. And these new so-called Diksha gurus just put him to the side. It's an excuse. So this is an excerpt from a lecture on Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 2, text 11, given on March 4th, 1966, when Srila Prabhupada was living at the yoga studio of Dr. Mishra. And there's Prabhupada. In those early days, look how humble he is. So humbly dressed, simple. Prabhupada, just like at Vrindavan, that is practical. Now that I'm sitting, New York is a very great, the world's greatest city, so magnificent city, but my heart is always hankering after that Vrindavan. Woman, yes. Yes, I'm not happy here. Prabhupada, or woman, yes, I know. Prabhupada, I shall be happy to return to my Vrindavan, that sacred place. But then, why you are here now? Because it is my duty. I have brought some message for you people because I'm ordered by Superior, my spiritual master, that whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries and you must distribute this knowledge. So in spite of all my difficulties, I am here because I am in duty. Duty. That is my personal convenience. If I go and sit down at Vrindavan, I shall be very comfortable there, and I have no money, no anxiety, nothing of the sort. You see, but I have taken all the risk in the old age because I am in duty bound. I am in duty bound, so I have no excuse. My duty in spite of all my inconvenience. That is the idea. And Prabhupada told me the same thing in his room in Toronto. He said, you have to take some trouble for Krishna. He told, that's what you have to do. So this is the whole thing, the whole basic principle of spiritual advancement of knowledge. One should first be convinced that he is not this body. He is not this body. Then another spiritual knowledge will begin. This is the basic principle. You'll find it. You'll find it in the Bhagavad-gītā, that this situation of spiritual life is called Brahma Bhuta, Brahman. So Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma na Sochati na Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate Param. So unless one understands himself, he cannot understand God also in his misunderstanding position. Now, what Dr. Mishra is teaching is very nice, because he is teaching that first of all, you know what I what I am, this is very good, but what I am can be known from the Bhagavad-gītā also, that I am not this body. I'm not this body. That knowledge, at least theoretically, one must accept I am not the body. And this next section we're going to read quickly, but it's interesting. He was trying to recruit somebody from India, this brahmachari, to come and help him. But as the movement moves along or develops, then all of a sudden, Prabhupada writes him back about, and you can see in the contents of the letter how Prabhupada is becoming encouraged with the people that are joining and becoming part of the Sankirtan mission from the Western world here. Regarding the construction of the temple here in New York and in other places, I've decided to struggle for it to the end of my life. And I'm glad that you have dedicated to follow my instruction. You have decided to follow my instruction in this connection. I think I should be able to finish the job even if the government of India does not allow me any exchange. So he's seeing, yes, people are coming forward. I'm now trying to incorporate one corporation of the local friends and admirers under the name International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. Negotiation is going on with the lawyer to formulate the scheme, and as soon as this is incorporated, I shall submit application for sponsoring you in this country. There is enough money in this country, and for temple we may not require to get exchange from India. The only thing is the people of this country must know that this is a very important work, and by such conviction enough money should be raised from the local people. I hope when you will come, I shall get your full cooperation in this connection. Henceforward, write in English. Here, English language is very much essential, so try to have it practiced fluently. You are educated and it will not be difficult for you. There is another impediment for my staying here. My publication work is suspended. You know, I have already published 3 volumes of my Srimad Bhagavatam, and further copies are ready for printing. Please let me know if your establishment can take charge of publishing these books or can manage publication in my absence. This is our instruction. Due to my absence from India, the publication is stopped, and therefore it disturbs my mind. The publication work is my main function. So at any rate, I cannot stop it. I stop my foreign activities, but I cannot stop my publication work. Please let me know if there's any possibility of your institution to look after these affairs during my absence. You have asked me to write something about Mr. Paul. He is a young man of 23 years old. He was attending my class at 72nd Street along with others. And when there was a theft case in my room, he invited me to his residence. So I'm here, I am with him and training him. He has good prospect, but he has already given up. He has good prospect because he's already given up all so-called bad habits in this country. Illicit connection with women, smoking, drinking, and eating of meats are common affairs besides the other habits, like they are using toilet papers after evacuating, etc. But my request is he's given up 90% of his old habits, and he's chanting Maha Mantra regularly. So I'm giving him the chance, and I think he is improving. Tomorrow, I have arranged for some prasad distribution, and he has gone to purchase some things from the market in the car of a friend. I shall inform him about you when he comes back. Here we have got a big hall, and my classes are going on thrice a week. The rent is $100 per month. I think when you come here, we will be able to organize the things more nicely. Please be in regular correspondence with me and offer my respects to Sripad Madhava Maharaj. And if possible, let me know if there's any possibility of our cooperation in this attempt of foreign propaganda. If so, kindly let me know your opinion in this connection. Very interesting letter, Krishna Katha. Very interesting and very relevant to what we're doing in this timeless effort beyond time and space to spread the Krishna consciousness philosophy according to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, found in his original edition of Srimad Bhagavatam 62, 64, and 65. So everyone, please continue to donate. We'll move forward with the Bhajan Jaya Radha Madhava before we have our reading and discussion given by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in sunny California. Glories to Prabhupada.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramahansa Parivrajaga-ācārya Sthitare Smāda Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai Nāma-ācārya Sri Haridas Thakur ki jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giridhar ki jai Vrindavan Dham ki jai Navadvip Dham ki jai Ganga Mai की जय, जमुना माई की जय, गुरु द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली, ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat, Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest Srimad Bhagavatam after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses before the introduction of the Bhagavad-gītā as they were given by Srila Prabhupada in 1966 in New York. We will proceed with these very auspicious transcendental verses. They are on page number 1 in the introduction. It should be noted that these readings and discussions are being conducted on the basis of the 1972 Macmillan edition of the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. This is the unchanged, unedited, non-adulterated, non-interpolated edition as decreed by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatan Anbitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanbitam Scha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively discussion. As we do every week, we will read one or two verses from the Gita Mahatmya as it was presented by Srila Prabhupada in 1966. Today we'll be reading again from text number 1 and text number 2. Gita Dhyayana Shilasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Neva Shantihi Papani Purvajanma Kritani Cha. If one reads Bhagavad-gītā very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. Text number 3. Malanirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakridgitam ritasnanam samsaramalanashanam. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad-gītā, for him, the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Today we'll be reading from Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, chapter 11, text 14. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. I'll repeat one line and everyone on the program may repeat also. Text 14. Tata savismaya vishtu. Tata savismaya vishtu. Rishtaroma dhananjaya. Rishtaroma dhananjaya. Pranamya shirasa devam. Pranamya shirasa devam. Kritanjalira bhashata. Kritanjalira bhashata. Tataha, thereafter. Sa he. Vismaya vishtaha. Being overwhelmed with wonder. Rishtaroma, with his bodily hairs standing on end due to his great ecstasy. Dhananjayaha Arjuna. Pranamya, offering obeisances. Shirasa, with the head. Devam, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kritanjalihi, with folded hands. Abhashata, began to say. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace. Once the divine vision is revealed, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna changes immediately. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship. But here, after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect, and with folded hands, he's praying to Krishna. He's praising the universal form. Thus, Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. Great devotees see Krishna as the reservoir of all relationships. In the scriptures, there are 12 basic kinds of relationships mentioned, and all of them are present in Krishna. It is said that he is the ocean of all the relationships exchanged between two living entities, between the gods or between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. It is said that Arjuna was inspired by the relationship of wonder. And in that wonder, although he was by nature very sober, calm and quiet, he became ecstatic. His head stood up, and he began to offer his obeisances unto the Supreme Lord with folded hands. He was not, of course, afraid. He was affected by the wonders of the Supreme Lord. The immediate context is wonder. His natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder, and thus he reacted in this way. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaham Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shwanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyayam Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad-vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadana Strinam Dante Hridam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimad Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Saravatam Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishtashat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 4, text 11, where Lord Krishna describes Ye yatamam prapadyante samstate that I reward them accordingly, that any person, any devotee who wishes a relationship with Krishna is rewarded according to their sadhana, according to their love for Krishna, according to their surrender. I rewarded them accordingly as they surrender unto me. Now, this is a very important text from the Bhagavad-gītā, because we see that many persons misunderstand the relationship with Krishna. Many persons think that this relationship is some kind of an order-supplier relationship. But in the purports Prabhupada is explaining, this is on page 232 of the original Bhagavad-gītā, everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma-jyoti effulgence, and as the all-pervading Supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is only fully realized by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus Anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. Now, it's quite significant in the relationships with Krishna. When we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many descriptions of this relationship with Krishna, where everybody is having their desires fulfilled. For example, when Krishna was very young, he played with his brother Balaram with the monkeys. He reciprocated with Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. And then later on, he reciprocated with the Gopikas, with the gopis, with the rasa dance. Later on, Krishna reciprocated with the 5 Pandavas. And those that were inimical to Krishna, like Kamsa, Shishupal, and others, Krishna gave them their destination. God is all merciful. Krishna is all merciful and is all kind. But if one chooses to be an enemy of Krishna, a disobedient person in his relationship with Krishna, Krishna can also reciprocate. Of course, Krishna has many agents that can also take care of this, but sometimes Krishna takes things very personally. We have seen this in the history of the Bhagavatam and Mahabharata. There are so many stories how Krishna reciprocated with personalities who chose to become envious or disobedient. We also see the same situation with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was very kind and very merciful to all Vaishnavas. In the case of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, his most confidential associate, at one point he says, "You do not need to come see me every year anymore. You take care of Bengal. You take care of Bengal and go preach there everywhere." So Lord Nityananda accompanied what is called the Dwadasa Gopal, or 12 confidential associates. They were empowered Nitya Siddha, or liberated pure devotees. They helped Lord Nityananda to preach in West Bengal. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu had been assaulted by Jagai and Madai, then he turned his anger on them. He was going to kill them with his Sudarshan Chakra. He was very angry at the miscreants for offending and mistreating the pure devotees, Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Haridas Thakur. But Nityananda Prabhu intervened and says, "No, Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you have promised to liberate these persons. In this age of Kali, there are so many other people like Jagai and Madai. You have come to liberate these persons with your mercy, with your Samkirtan movement. Do not kill them, forgive them." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually, once they surrendered, he initiated them and they became devotees. But the point is that the relationship depends on the attitude of the devotee. Is it an attitude of surrender? Is it an attitude of service? Just like recently, we celebrated last Wednesday, a very special day, the appearance of Lord Narasimha and the disappearance of Sri Jayananda Prabhu. Now, why do we keep repeating this? Because he was the perfect example of a surrendered devotee with no personal motivation, with no personal agenda for political position, for self-aggrandizement, for self-promotion. There was zero personal ambition with Jayananda, zero. I had the good fortune a few times in very late 1970, early 71, in Berkeley, California, to actually go with Jayananda on Saturdays to prepare for the Sunday feast. Because in those days, as those devotees who were there know, the Sunday feast was a wonderful preaching opportunity where there was an elaborate campaign during the week to invite people to the temple on Sunday so that people could get the chance to partake what they used to call it the Sunday love feast, which was an elaborate preparation of numerous kind of prasadam, very nice prasadam, and a lecture, a kirtan. They would have some plays. It was a wonderful festival. And Jayananda would prepare by going to the market, and I've related before, Jayananda would always go out with a side bag that he would wrap around his shoulder with cookie prasadam and sweet balls. Sweet balls. So Jayananda, and he would have cards with him inviting people, and he would go to the vegetable and fruit market, the wholesale market in San Francisco. So we would go there with him, and he would approach, and everybody wanted to talk to Jayananda because they knew he had those cookies and those sweet balls. So they wanted some prasadam. But he was very friendly, very, very gregarious. People, it was contagious. Jayananda's attitude of serving Srila Prabhupada and presenting Krishna consciousness was very contagious. And many times in his bag, he would bring a couple of Back to Godhead magazines. So he would give them a card, invite them to the Sunday feast. He would smile at them. He would give them a Simply Wonderful or a cookie and invite them to the Sunday feast and ask them if you have any donations you want. And they would many times just say, take whatever you want. He would get a box of bananas, a box of potatoes, a box of sweet potatoes, squashes, all different kinds of vegetables, apples, oranges, so many different kinds of fruits, because people wanted to genuinely serve someone like Jaina. What is it that they perceived? What is it that they saw with this person? I'll tell you what they saw. I personally witnessed it. There was not a trace of selfishness, not a trace of personal ambition for himself. He genuinely wanted to benefit people and help people. That was the purity of Jayananda, which was really the mercy of Srila Prabhupada on him. As we have discussed before, Jayananda gave the first major donation of $5,000 for the printing of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya when he was driving a taxi in San Francisco in 1967. Jayananda had worked very hard to gather these funds, and he gave them to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada one time told him, now that you've given the money, so you go out and try to distribute these books. Jayananda one time admitted to me personally, I had no idea how to distribute books. I said, how did you do it? I said, I just gave them a cookie or a Simply Wonderful and a card, invite them and ask them if they wanted to get this book. And many times people would give them $5, $7, $10 in those days. It was a good-sized book, a medium-sized book, but it was a wonderful picture of the Panchatattva. So this is the potency of acting in a way according to the instruction of the spiritual master, without personal ambition, without personal desire for name and fame and trying to promote oneself. We don't need to do that. The example of Jayananda proved that. Vishnu Jan was another example of a devotee, very selfless, dedicated to the chanting of the Mahamantra and preaching. So this is what Srila Prabhupada expects from all the devotees. All the followers and students of his Srila Prabhupada should adopt this attitude. It is very important to remember, the only reason we have problems in our movement is because of forgetfulness of that basic fundamental principles. That is the root cause. In the mid-1970s, Srila Prabhupada would run a letter to Karandar and mention if there is any problems, any kind of difficulties in our societies, it means that the instructions of the spiritual master are being neglected. They're not being followed. I'm paraphrasing here. So this is probably, the instructions are there, the guidance is there, the warnings are there. Simply we have to follow. But it's very easy for people to get carried away. That is why we have these meetings in this association to remind ourselves of the great teachings and a purport that Srila Prabhupada has given, to educate ourselves constantly about this philosophy. One should not think, oh, I already know all this, I've heard it before, I've read this. No, That is not the proper attitude. Just like we read before the Srimad Bhagavatam on Sunday, Nashta prayeshu babadrishu nityam bhagavata sevadaya. That one should engage in serving the Srimad Bhagavatam and serving the devotee Bhagavata. And the first service is to hear. I know in India, I've seen Srila Prabhupada many times being in Prabhupada's room, and many times he would be with influential politicians, very famous personality, very famous persons, great scholars, and Prabhupada would always try to say, just try to understand. He would constantly repeat this mantra, just try to understand, because he knew that many persons thought that they understood. But he knew they had not completely understood, but by the fact they were not practically engaging. That's why Prabhupada devised all of these various services, the various means of practicing and preaching Krishna consciousness, the kirtan, the book distribution, the life membership, all these programs were brought by Srila Prabhupada to engage people in Krishna's service. There is no room for personal aggrandizement. This is exactly what our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught in his Shikshastakam. Nadhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. I don't desire beautiful women, followers, wealth to become a famous poet. Well, what is it that you want? Mama janmani shwari babatad bhakti rahetu kitvaye. Simply birth after birth, I want your unalloyed devotional service, the chance to serve. We see that Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his song Manaso Deho Geho, he's writing that even if I'm born as an insect in the house of a Vaishnava, that is fine, because I'll get the chance to hear the glories of Krishna. A Vaishnava is not ambitious for big position or big elevation. No, simply service. That is the attitude. And that is what has been described by all of our great acharyas, all these great powerful personalities. They were devotional giants, devotional limelight, very powerful personalities with their writings, with their personal example. Simply, we will never be on that position. Those people who think that they're on the level of Nikunjayuno and liberated souls and the sum total of all demigods will get out of your illusion. You're not. You don't accomplish that level by some vote or some self-appointment. That is simply nonsense. Our attitude should be service birth after birth, regardless of what position we're in. This was the example of Jayananda. This was the example of our Srila Prabhupada, of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the great acharyas. Simply what we should aspire to do. And then we will reap the reward of that connection with Krishna, that attitude of loving service to Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for that wonderful explanation of today's verse from the Bhagavad-gītā. And it's interesting to note that service and separation is a principle that has to be understood by the aspiring disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And this was the situation for most of us when he was personally present with us during his active preaching programs spreading Krishna consciousness. We were always away from Prabhupada because Prabhupada was busy traveling. He traveled the world, I believe it was 11 times after he got the mission off the ground. Then he started, despite his advanced age and poor health. Prabhupada had so many physical difficulties, but it did not impede his preaching work. Nothing disturbed him. When he was in Toronto, it was interesting to note that he had trouble with his teeth. And if you see the pictures, you'll see Prabhupada's face is swollen. He had been traveling, and traveling, as you know, can be very tiresome, very difficult because of all the time changes, and hard to get rest, and hard. Of course, Prabhupada hardly ever slept. He was always busy. You could say inspired, very inspired to see the movement unfolding. As we know, as we studied at the beginning of these programs, we've been reading the diaries, and we realized that Prabhupada had a lot of difficulty in the early launch of the mission. He had his typewriter stolen. People were not being very serious about spiritual life. He would give lectures to a small group of people and collect $3 or $4 or $5. That was it. They didn't take him very seriously, but gradually Krishna made the arrangement for sincere people to come forward and take up his mission. And that's what we're doing with our group, is drawing in people that want to understand that Prabhupada is living in sound with us in separation. Now, if people do not read the books, if they don't listen to the lectures, if they don't chant their rounds, if they don't follow the regulated principles, if they don't work in cooperation with other devotees without false ego, then it will be difficult for them to understand the transcendental process, the nature of Krishna consciousness. This is not a show bottle group, show bottle. I was listening to a lecture, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, yesterday by Srila Prabhupada. He was going that the association of a guru is a very serious issue. One should be extremely inquisitive about spiritual life and approach a bona fide spiritual master to get the information necessary to make advancement in spiritual life. And Prabhupada was speaking about the initiation process. There's no need of initiation if you're not serious. It's not a fad. One has to be extremely inquisitive. What is Krishna? What is Guru? And how can I take up the process of devotional service according to his instructions? And his instructions were service in separation. Yes, because in a sense, everyone, there is not really any separation. Because Prabhupada is always with his devotee in his transcendental instructions. There is no separation. That the devotee is always remembering the order of the spiritual master. And that is why we work together. Sometimes people ask me, well, why do you do this? Why do you spend your time ongoing every day in this work of spreading the mission of Srila Prabhupada and his legacy? And the answer is because we are trying to attract the attention of Krishna. And Prabhupada said, do not try to see Krishna, because Bhaktisiddhanta taught him this, but act in such a way that Krishna will see you. Is that real? Is that a real issue in your life, that you're working to please Krishna by pleasing our spiritual master? Or is it just a fantasy? Or are you just busy on the mental plane, thinking, feeling, willing? Are you just busy with making money to support your responsibilities, so-called? Money comes and goes, as we all know. Sometimes you can make millions, then you can lose millions. This is the way of the world. Things come and go. But the message of Krishna consciousness, which is a transcendental science, will never leave the sincere devotees of the Lord that have taken up the mission of the bona fide spiritual master. Again, we're stressing this over and over again because there's so much confusion on these matters that have entered into our transcendental mission. Yes, the principle of Guru Tattva is the essence of this philosophy. This is a transcendental movement based on sound vibration. Prabhupada, speaking in a lecture the other day, he said, Krishna is present with you in his holy name. That God is with you. So the spiritual master is with you. And Krishna is with you because you keep them with you by your actions, by your discipline, by your commitment to this process. So many people are concerned about other people. Oh, what do they think about me? What do they think about this? Everybody's concerned about the vox populaire, what people think. That's not important. It's not what people think. It's what your guru thinks of you, and it is what Krishna is thinking of you. And he is a witness to everything that's going on in your life. A witness, a transcendental relationship between Krishna and his devotee, who is committed to the mission of Krishna's pure devotee to deliver the conditioned souls out of the entanglement of this material prison house. Oh, you can think you're a big devotee. Oh, yes. You can think all this imaginary mental concoction, but you still have to get up every morning and use the facilities. Do you remember that? Do you realize what a prison house this material body is? Do you? Or are you still caught up in the mental concoction that you're somebody that's important? How important are you when you die, Krishna Katha? Well, if you're lucky enough, maybe a few people will come to your funeral. And will they remember you in a few years? You just name in the flame of eternal time. We are not significant. We are insignificant people in this universe. There are trillions and trillions and trillions of living entities. And we are one little speck. Jonas Priya was telling me that story about Prabhupada was in LA, saying how, giving that understanding in his lecture, where there's so many cities and so many people, so many streets, but we think we're important. We're one little speck in the universe. But if we have a relationship by the grace of Lord Chaitanya with a bona fide spiritual master who has seen the truth, then we, as a group of individuals, have the greatest opportunity available. Anyone in this universe, anyone in this universe, as long as we understand what is the principle of Guru Tattva. I'll finish up by saying that Prabhupada was explaining in his lecture how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ends every chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita by offering his obeisances to Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Every chapter, because this is the principle that we all must follow, to always offer our respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, and in this way, we will become successful in spiritual life. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please. Your microphone.
Very important point that's being discussed here. And people may say, well, why do you keep re-emphasizing this point all the time? Because that's what Prabhupada taught.
Yeah.
That's what our great acharyas taught. That's what Krishna taught. If one has the mentality of service to Krishna under the guidance and protection of the bona fide acharya, the first thing that one doesn't want to do is to change the message, change the teachings. If you change the message and change the teachings, that means you're disconnected. You disconnect. The whole relationship with the spiritual master is on a basis of obedience, surrender, and acceptance of his authority. This is why we keep talking about this point about not changing his books, not changing his writing, not changing the message of the acharya. Not only is it disrespectful and inappropriate, it is very offensive spiritually. No matter how they try to describe it, how they try to explain it. There's a very nice devotee named Govinda Dasi Mataji. She was one of Prabhupada's first disciples, and she related in various testimonies how she was with Srila Prabhupada in 1968, 69, 67, when Prabhupada was finalizing his first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam with Hayagriva, giving Hayagriva direct guidance and supervision over the Bhagavad-gītā manuscript. I'm speaking of the unedited large edition, as well as the first and second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But some people claim, oh no, we did a better edition, we revised it, we changed it, we did this, we did that. I mean, that is why we had to go back to the first edition, the 1962 edition of Srimad Bhagavatam, even though admittedly Prabhupada himself mentions misspellings and grammatical discrepancies, but the message is pure. The transcendental message takes precedence over grammatical correctness. But Prabhupada wanted the message to be presented nicely for American audience, Western audience, and he requested his disciple Hayagriva, who is a very accomplished English scholar, who had a master's degree in English, was teaching at Ohio State University. He basically requested him to do it nicely. Whatever discrepancies may have been involved, Prabhupada authorized it. Prabhupada wanted to get the message out. That was the point. So Govinda Dasi's message was very important because she testified that she personally was there. She did the paintings for the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. She was there when Srila Prabhupada was personally supervising Hayagriva in his editing. So it is confirmed that these first editions were bona fide. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Yes, it's true. And we have a few people that we want to call upon to speak right now in our panel. Sundar Dharma Bhavana Prabhu in Dallas, Texas. Maybe you could share your points of view.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. This is a wonderful for class. A few of the topics discussed by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, including Krishna's relationship with his devotees, and the Jayananda Prabhu discussion were really, really beautiful. And I was just thinking, I've also been discussing in the last couple of months with some of the Florida devotees how there's no real temple for us, for the devotees here in North America, and at least created by the Western devotees. And some of the other devotees were discussing how for 10 years this thing has been discussed, and just somehow or another it keeps getting dragged out in Florida. And I'm just wondering, if I had millions and millions of dollars, maybe I would be so attached I wouldn't want to do anything either. It's just such a kind of a bewildering thing to me. But I'm just trying to understand how Krishna has his own time when he wants things done, but it seems like now is the right time. And so these are just some of my thoughts over here, how and because the Western devotees haven't done very much, just a publication of the books is something substantial. It's innocent, it's simple, and it's profoundly what Prabhupada really enjoyed doing. Like the book publication was his main effort. So I just had a few thoughts I wanted to share. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada, thank you. And it's, things are moving forward in a positive way. And the Krishna Consciousness movement is spreading through our group anyway, without adulteration. And if even one person can take it up with you through your preaching work, Prabhu, with all enthusiasm, sincerity of purpose, then amazing things can be done. I always say this, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, to my friend Drupada. 2 devotees is better than 1. 3 is better than 2. 4 is better than 3. 5 is better than 4. And on it marches. So if you have a few good people, a few good men and women, and you work together constructively according to the direction of the spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, without hesitation, then amazing things can happen, and Krishna will help us, as we're seeing practically in our group. We have been, there's a saying in sales, stumble forward. Honestly, we've been stumbling forward, going this way, that way, this way, and somehow or other we're here. And it's a lot better here than it was there back then, some years ago. From 2002 to 2024, we've stumbled forward to here. And this is all due to Prabhupada's mercy and Krishna's arrangements to help us all stay on the path. I wanted to ask, before we go to Nilesh, I wanted to ask Krishna Kata, maybe you could relate the recent email that you sent to me from Govinda Dasi after she met her godbrother Jayadvaita in Germany last week. What were her impressions?
Hare Krishna Prabhus, thank you all for being here. This is a great example of that 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2, and marching on. We have such a wonderful gathering of sincere disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And this verse is so perfectly, Krishna arranges the timing. So Arjuna is, receiving this universal form. His hair is standing on head. Nobody on the battlefield can see this, only Arjuna. So this is our universal form moment, in a sense, because we are being shown the truth through His Grace Yaśodā and your grace, Vishwakarma. We are being shown the truth. we are not in this bad decision-making mode, right? It comes down to choice, right? And the choices of these misguided jiva souls is causing all these horrible things to happen in our spiritual master's pure movement. So Govinda Dasi is traveling, as she does from time to time, and she went to Germany for this very nice Nrsimhadev festival. Nrsimhadev is, you know, the ultimate protector, the spiritual protector of Prahlad. The Maha Mantra is our protection, right? All of Krishna is in the sound vibration. So she's there, and Jayadvaita's there. So she's a warrior. She walked right up to him without any hesitation and said, so now that you've done all this editing and so many God brothers hate you, why do you allow this to happen? And his answer was very typical of someone that is not taking responsibility or acknowledging the issue. He says, I no longer work for the BBT. If you want an answer to your question, you consult with them. What? You just spent 20, 30, 40 years in the most offensive decision-making that anyone could possibly imagine, and now you're just sloughing it off on this entity called the BBTI? You have no responsibility in this? This is very typical of someone that doesn't know how offensive they're being, right in the middle of being so offensive, disrespectful. So she relayed that in an email, which I forwarded to you. But she also said in her email, I want to share, that is really, in my humble opinion, the attitude we should think about adopting. We all have our own choices, and it does come down to choice. But her attitude is this: these saffron-robed, cloaked personalities that think they're big, big devotees, that have written some books and they've collected followers, and they're basically just, as Lalitanath calls it very nicely, leeching onto the body of Prabhupada's ISKCON. They're just sucking the blood, right? But they're no better than a leech in the sense that they're not really out there preaching Prabhupada's message and bringing everyone to Prabhupada. I mean, there might be a few. Govinda Dasi does say that not all are bad apples in the barrel, but she said we should see them as irrelevant in the giant picture of time and space, because they're, like Vishwakarma said, we are just a speck. We are tiny. And even though as souls, we are brighter than the sun, Prabhupada explains, we are brighter than our sun. Mm-hmm. But we are thinking we are bigger than Prabhupada. This is the disease that, oh, Prabhupada's gone, so now we're in charge. And the humility goes out the door. And therefore, we do have the examples of Jayananda, who remained only humble, no personal motive at all. So Govinda Dasi explains, try to see them as irrelevant, because what she's experiencing in her travels is all these jiva souls that don't feel the connection to the movement because they've taken this fake initiation from a fake poser. And so she tells them, direct all of your attention and your worship and your thoughts towards Srila Prabhupada. He's your guru. He's really the guru of ISKCON. Nobody else is. Everyone else is a representative, and based on their, poor fund of knowledge, right? They think that they're better than Prabhupada. But those that know better, that know that they're a servant of the pure devotee, they're the ones that are qualified to actually represent Prabhupada, which includes the initiation, the fire sacrifice, all of that. Those are the devotees that are qualified to represent Prabhupada in such an initiation. So she tells them like that. Take what has happened with the ghee and the fire sacrifice and your name, your beautiful name, and just remember that it is Prabhupada's books, his original books, and she's big on that. Govinda Dasi is, that's like one of her main focuses when she travels, is seek out these devotees that are promoting, publishing, printing Prabhupada's original books, and buy those books. Don't buy them from the Jayadvaita book ministry, whatever it is. Don't buy them, because that isn't Prabhupada's books. Those are not his books. So her realization is, of course, very deep. And we should take her attitude and consider that for ourselves, that this whole thing that's going on is just Krishna fulfilling everyone's desires as he promises, including the desires that directly interrupt the flow of the pure devotee. Strange, but that's what's happening. It's a direct interruption. It's temporary. She explains everyone's going to come back to Prabhupada eventually. It's a very nice email. Thank you for letting me elaborate a little bit on her email to you, Prabhu, because it's a very significant set of realizations that she's sharing, that we should always try to have our own realizations about this verse, for example. Arjuna would never even think for a second of saying, all right, now I'm Krishna, I'm not going to accept you as my guru. I mean, it's a perfect example of awe and reverence in that moment. Hair standing on end. I surrender to you.
Glories to Prabhupada. Thank you.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Hare Krishna.
These
Here's our wonderful GoFundMe project. Can I say one more quick thing? If all the devotees are wondering, how come I haven't received my wonderful set of Bhagavatams? Our moving forward, our decision-making is not whimsical, very professional choosing of who we will print these books with. So I'm helping to vet each printing house so that the binding is the best, the paper is the best, the care, and that each printing house is enrolled on how important, how rare these books are. This is the last set that's pristine. You can see they're still in the wrapping. These have not been opened. They're perfect in every way. So be patient. We ask you to please be patient. We will get these books to you. But right now we are in the vetting process. So we ask for your patience. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And I think with our group, we're getting a lot of insights on the transcendental nature of this process of devotional service according to the proper understanding of our disciplic succession and its teachings. And we have Nilesh Sharma, our friend. He's had his hand up here, and thank you for attending. We're going to move to the end of the program, but please, Nilesh, if you could speak for us. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Several points, very interesting class, several points which come to my attention.
Yes.
It is interesting that the shloka which was read by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, what is Arjuna referred to as? He's referred to as Dhananjaya. What do you mean by Dhananjaya? The one who is the conqueror of wealth, you see. Of course, there are other connotations also, but with respect to Bhagavad-gītā, Arjuna is often referred to as Dhananjaya. In this age of Kali Yuga, and somebody has even in the chat asked about the details about a book called The Guru Business. Like any business, the purpose of the business is to make money. But even if you made loads and loads of money and you became like Arjuna, Dhananjaya, what are you going to do? You're going to surrender to Krishna. You're going to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for us, the conditioned soul, who is Krishna? Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastra. The representative of Krishna is as good as Krishna, which is Srila Prabhupada. So, in Kali Yuga, a person who's considered to be successful is the one who makes a lot of money, who can keep his family in comfort, who can send his children maybe to private schools. But at the end of it all, Krishna can come to you as Mrityu, death. Aham Mrityu Sarvasva Harascha. I'll come as death and I'll take everything away. So while you have this wealth, why not surrender it to Krishna? So this guru business also is nothing but making money. But they don't understand, like Arjuna, though he made a lot of money, that is why he's called Dhananjaya, he is surrendering to Krishna. We need to also surrender to Krishna. And talking about why we need to read these unadulterated books, if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 32. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 32. I'm going to read verbatim. Prabhupada talks about the message in his books. He's talking about, so there is no difference between the versions of all authorities. The truth is eternal, and as such, there cannot be any new opinion of the truth. So all these people who are materially afflicted, who think that, oh, there should be an updated version, oh, there should be something new added onto it. Prabhupada has mentioned in Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 32 in the purport. The truth is eternal, and as such, there cannot be any new opinion about the truth. That is the way of knowing the knowledge contained in the Vedas. Remember, Vedas actually mean the book of knowledge. So if you want to know the knowledge within the book of knowledge, you got to stick to the original meaning. It is not a thing to be understood by one's erudite scholarship. I may be a PhD in English, I may be a PhD in this, I may be triple PhD, I may be a doctor, whatever it may be. That will not give me authority on the subject matter. Or fashionable interpretation of mundane scholars. There is nothing, this is a very important statement. There is nothing to be added and nothing to be subtracted, because the truth is the truth. Remember, we went through from the original version during Prabhupada's time in 1972. And now we are going back again to the 1972 version, having gone through the whole process. Here Prabhupada tells us very thing. There is nothing to be subtracted and nothing to be added, because the truth is truth and it is going to be eternal. And if we are true seekers of this truth, we need to stick to the original version. We need to stick to what the Acharya, the bona fide Acharya has said. And who can become Acharya? Who can become Guru? Prabhupada himself has said that only when ordered by the predecessing Guru. Ordered. Nobody is eager to become one. You see, the idea is we are still materially afflicted. We get envious about the way the Guru is treated, the way how easily money is got by him. And that is why we get attracted by that part. But it is a position of great responsibility. As Vishwakarma Prabhu read Prabhupada's excerpt in that letter, saying that for Krishna, we have to take some inconvenience. What is that inconvenience? I know people who have hosted these gurus, so-called gurus, and they said, oh, the Guru Maharaj does not eat anything but organic basmati, brown basmati rice. Is that inconvenience, taking inconvenience for Krishna? It is supposed, this is the thoughts which you need to ponder over and decide who you want to surrender to. But the evidence is very clear over here. Nothing needs to be attracted or subtracted, added or subtracted from these books. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for your input today. Any last comments, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu? Satisfied?
Not really. This was very nice comments by Krishna Katha and Shyama Prabhu in Florida. Very, very important points that they've raised. I mean, there is a lot of resistance from various individuals who have these positions and various other reasons to accept Prabhupada as the Acharya, as the Guru. They will say, oh, Prabhupada is the Shiksha Guru. Well, what does that practically mean? When you say that Prabhupada is the initiating spiritual master, they don't want to accept that because they want to take that position of Acharya for personal profit. In other words, if Prabhupada gives a directive that is to be followed, if we follow that directive and his order, all success will be guaranteed. If we deviate from that, then it'll be a different story. That is why what Nila Sharma Prabhu was saying is like, there is not too many alternatives. There's only one alternative. Like people say, oh, we can't accept what you people are proposing because it's not in the tradition. No. We only have one tradition to follow the order and the instruction of the Acharya Srila Prabhupada. That is our only tradition. All of these other explanations about some so-called caste Brahmins, some so-called Sahajas, some neo-mat explanation, that is irrelevant, all irrelevant. In the future, we will see. The only thing that will be relevant is to accept the authority and position of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. It is not difficult to understand. It is not complicated. It is very easy. I see that our friend Nila Sharma also has an additional bhashya here, another commentary. Yes, Prabhu.
I just wanted to address to Dharma Bhavana Prabhu's request is that, yes, we need a temple. Whether it is Western or Eastern devotees doesn't matter. It should be devotees who are dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. I'm here in Miami. If anybody wants to, I'm very much interested to get a temple started. And if everybody of us band together, Prabhupada wanted to start a a center in the West where it can be like a Vrindavan or a pilgrimage of the West. Of course, West Virginia was started, but it's not so conducive as far as weather is concerned. And if Dharma Bhavana Prabhu wants to reach out, we can do something in a rural part of Florida where we can do some farming and have a temple and invite all of you over there. We would be very much interested. So if this is the time is right, I'm there to help out. You're most welcome to come here and we can scout around. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much. Very encouraging. And we have a new letterhead that we just constructed for our campaigns and our work with the Hare Krishna Society in Twain Harte, which Yaśodā started, and we have the charitable status there. So many things are unfolding, and there are different centers that are possible to be developed as we move forward. The most important thing, Prabhu, is Nilesh Sharma, is that the people that are with us are properly trained up as devotees according to the principles that Srila Prabhupada taught us, and they can inspire other people, and we grow this mission through our collective work together. So it's step by step. We'll move forward, and certainly we'll take note of his invitation. And our new newsletter that we're producing and coming out very soon with, again, we'll give all the information about the news of the Hare Krishna Society PDA group and what is happening with its membership throughout the world, and how all of you can participate in it according to your means and your capacity. So I just wanted to finalize today. Don't forget, the GoFundMe campaign is still going on. And if you want to donate, anyone that donates to the fund will receive a set of the Bhagavatams after they're published, or printed, I should say. irrespective of the amount, because our goal is to distribute these books to all sincere people, and anyone who's with us in this program. We know you're sincere, we know you're committed to the process, and we want to support you irrespective of your financial position. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's see what we got here, Yaśodā. What is it? Florida near Georgia is a very good place for a self-sufficient community, and please reach out to me so we can start something. Nila Shama. Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful discussion today and reading. And we'll be back tomorrow with the Srimad Bhagavatam from the original editions, so we can all enjoy that together. And we'll carry on with our dialogue. 3 times a week, we're meeting. Invite your friends, invite your sincere people that are interested in participating with us. I think they'll find it very inspiring. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission. Nilesh, thank you very much. All glories to the Sankirtan mission of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating. We'll see you all tomorrow morning for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Looking forward to see everybody tomorrow. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Vandeham
Jai Prabhupada.
Sri Guru
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Sri
Haribo.
Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya